So today I'll be talking about um, social justice, governance, and polity, which are a part of GS paper 2, right? GS2. So we will go in the order of the syllabus that is provided, and in this video we will be focusing on social justice and governance, and in the next video we'll be focusing on polity. Um, so 2.14, so the syllabus is issues relating to poverty and hunger. So that can be broken down into the hunger definition, food security definition, malnutrition definition, the statistics, measurement, the constitutional articles, the types of hunger, the causes of hunger, climate change and food security, the impact of hunger, the government initiatives that have been taken to tackle hunger, the pros and cons of each, and international initiatives to tackle hunger, the way forward, committee recommendations, reports, the definition of poverty, statistics, measurement, causes of poverty, types of poverty, the vicious cycle theory, the impact of poverty, urban poverty versus rural poverty, government initiatives to tackle poverty, pros and cons of each, and the way forward, committee recommendations, reports, thinkers, and the link of poverty and hunger. So every hunger answer, we would start with the quote, to them, God can only appear as bread and butter, MK Gandhi in Young India. So SDG, Sustainable Development Goal 2, relates to end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture, right? Let's repeat that again. Hunger, to them, God can only appear as bread and butter, MK Gandhi in Young India. SDG 2 is end hunger, improve food security, achieve food security, improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. So the definitions. So basically, the idea of definitions is that whenever a question relates to the words given in these definition, we just directly start with this definition as the introduction, right? So definitions. So hunger is the distress that is caused by inadequate nutrition or food availability. Food security is the state of having reliable access to adequate nutrition and food availability, right? So hunger is the distress that is caused by inadequate nutrition or food availability, and food security is the state of having reliable access to food, adequate nutrition and food availability. Malnutrition is the state of having inadequate intake of nutrients, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals to support healthy physical and mental well-being, right? So malnutrition is what? Is basically the state of having inadequate intake of nutrients, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals to support healthy physical and mental well-being. Hidden hunger is similar to malnutrition with the fact that it is basically malnutrition of micronutrients, right? So hidden hunger is the state of having inadequate access to vitamins, minerals, and micronutrients, though macronutrition might be adequate to support healthy physical and mental well-being. Starvation is the extreme distress that is caused by inadequate nutrition or food availability, which is immediately threatening to the sustenance of life, right? Um, so the difference between starvation and hunger would be that starvation is point number one, extreme, and point number two, immediately threatening the sustenance of life. So let's see some statistics and measurements. So we need to see the GHI report, NFHS 5 or 6, because I'll be giving the exam in 2026. So that is reflected here. Depends on that. Global Hunger Index is an index that is prepared. Uh, using four factors, right? First is undernourishment, which is basically calorie intake, which forms one third of the index. Then we have child stunting, child wasting, which is one sixth, and child mortality, which is one third. So the ranking of India in GHI would be, let's see that. So in 2024, it was 105th out of 127. We would have to see in some time or 2025 and 2026. NFHS is National Family Health survey by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So some statistics that you can add to your mains answer would be wasting. Yeah, so and for children under 5, wasting is 19.3%, stunting is 35.5%, anemia is 67.1%, and for pregnant women, anemia is 52.2%. So anemia is a good point, I think, because it's greater than 50%, right? Now, constitutional articles. So, Article 21, right to life and personal liberty, is fundamental right? And Supreme Court's view is that right to food is a part of right to life. The case was PUCL v Union of India case. The article DPSP that is relevant to hunger would be Article 47, wherein it's stated that the to raise the level of nutrition and improvement in public health is among the state's primary duties. Okay, let's go to types of hunger. Uh, uh, I don't think I have notes on that. Causes of hunger. We have basically two causes that can come up: pre-access and post-access, right? So pre-access would be the factors that prevent one from getting access to hunger. That would be poverty, unemployment, right? So when you're poor, you cannot afford foodstuffs. When you're unemployed, you remain poor. And then we have agricultural issues that there is not enough food availability for everybody. Then you have unequal land distribution, climate change, and conflicts which directly affect agriculture and hence affect the access of food. Then we have post access. Post access is after we have um, foodstuffs available. The problem is that they're rendered unavailable due to poor sanitation and hygiene, right? There are problems in physical access, social inequality, for example, the caste discrimination that take place, right? And the classism, which prevents people from access to food, even though there is access to food, and hidden hunger, which is due to the lack of micronutrients. What is the impact of climate change on hunger? The World Bank predicts that 2.8% of the 2.8% of GDP reduction will take place in India's GDP due to climate change. Climate change affects hunger in the following ways, right? So in total, there are around 5 ways. Let's see. So first would be extreme weather conditions. That would be cyclones, right? Tornadoes and droughts, floods, which are exacerbated by uh, climate change, which directly affects agricultural production. That's number one. Second one is increase in carbon dioxide levels in the which lowers the quality of micronutrients, which again causes hidden hunger. And another important statistic is that 74% are unable to afford a healthy, complete diet. So this is related to hidden hunger. Next is sea level rise. It's obvious that when the sea level rises, the coastal areas submerge, right, and causes salination of coastal lands, which affects hunger, which decreases the productivity of coastal areas, right, agricultural productivity. Then you have water scarcity. Now, because of climate change, it's a given statement that by the dry gets drier, wet gets wetter paradigm. There is a water scarcity in India due to climate change, and to further worsen it, around 52% of land in India is rain-fed, which basically means that it does not have access to irrigation systems, and the crops that are grown are directly dependent on rain for water supply, which means that failure of rain will cause failure of crops. Next is lastly foodborne illnesses because the of global warming there is an increasing temperature which increases the chances for pathogens and bacteria to grow on foodstuffs. Then we have the way forward, right? So few way forwards would be number one, climate smart agriculture. Climate smart agriculture is basically um, agriculture which is which is sustainable in terms of climate change. Then we have ZBNF, which is basically zero budget natural farming, right? So what zero budget natural farming is that it is a low budget localized farming system which uses organic techniques and focuses on bioreusability. Then we have organic farming, which is a very common form of farming that avoids use of chemical fertilizers and is sustainable. For example, Sikkim is the first completely, or you can say fully organic state in India. Then we have awareness and bureaucratic sensitization, which is basically a common point that you can put in a lot of answers, right? Um, it's obvious that methods to reduce climate change will also be important in the way forward here. Now let's talk about some government strategies that have been taken up to tackle hunger specifically, right? So broadly, there are two approaches. First is the subsidy-based approach, which is food subsidization, which is basically a short-term approach which aims to help the poor secure food stuffs and prevents hunger in that way. And then we have the children and women centric approach that that is basically to focus on the malnutrition that is the consequence of vulnerability, social vulnerability of certain sections of the society. Then we have agricultural productivity, which to increase that would be to tackle hunger. Also, this is a basically this these two are short-term approaches. This is a long-term approach, right? Now, let's talk about subsidies, right? So in India, the food subsidy and is guaranteed through the National Food Security Act of 2013. So if you have to explain it, it would be that basically two-thirds of the households in India are covered under NFSA 2013, wherein three-fourths are basically rural and half are urban. Then we have the Targeted Public Distribution System, TPDS, which is basically an update of the erstwhile prevalent PDS system. The difference is that it helps in uh, it basically provides subsidized food grains that includes rice, wheat, and coarse grains through FPS to priority households. Priority households would be PHH, and AAY is Antyodaya Anna Yojana households, right? So Antyodaya is a concept by Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay, and AAY provides food grains for the poorest of the poor section, which is meant by Antyodaya. Also an idea that was propounded further by Gandhiji. PMGKAY is, I think, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, which provided emergency food grains during COVID-19. Right, that is also a subset of NFSA now. One nation, one ration card scheme is another innovation that has taken place, which allows for interstate portability of ration card, especially for migrants, useful for migrants. Children and women centric approaches that have taken place. Number one, the most famous midday meal, which had started under the Tamil Nadu government, which provided hot, cooked, and balanced meals to school children from grades 1 to 8. And that had a two way focus. First was to improve nutrition among these children, and second was to improve the school attendance of these children, and which was an immense success. Next, you have the ICDS program. So the ICDS is the Integrated Child Development Scheme, right? So the Integrated Child Development Scheme provides nutrition for children under 6, pregnant women, and lactating mothers through Anganwadi centers. So Anganwadi is basically um, daycares, right? It is rural daycares. So so this is something you need to keep in mind, right? MDM and ICDS. So MDM is also now a subset of the PM Poshan or National Nutrition Missions. The scheme, basically, the idea is that what had worked for Tamil Nadu government has been now implemented through at a national level. Next is to increase agricultural productivity. Various steps have been taken, right? So the number one steps whenever we talk about this that comes to mind is irrigation, right? So that would be the Har Khet Ko Pani scheme and the per drop more crop scheme. Then we have the NMSA, National Mission for, I think, soil National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture that has soil health cards. And we have a climate smart agriculture that's promoted through this. So basically, that is the idea to increase agriculture productivity. So now, what are the cons of this, right? What are some challenges that the government is facing in tackling hunger? The ideas that come to mind relating to challenges mostly are related to the subsidy that the government provides, right? Number one would be that subsidies are a short term solution to a huge problem, right? The second problem that would be is that it's a fiscal burden to the government, and these schemes are fiscal burdens to taxpayers. Next is the problem of identification, inclusion, and exclusion. It is widely regarded that the National Food Security Act of 2013 is over reaching in identification. That is, it includes a lot of people which would not really need that the subsidy because it covers around two-thirds of the population. That makes it the largest food security scheme in the world, right? Then we have that it is too broad. Yeah, that was what I was talking about. It's too broad. Two-thirds of the population. It's abnormal levels. The problem with that is actually, even though it is broad, it should be targeted, right, and narrowed down to improve the delivery of these schemes. Next is the subsidies basically include only rice, wheat, food grains. What do you basically eat rice with, right? What are the different vitamins, minerals, and proteins that you would need for a good balanced diet? That is missing. Next is that agriculture investment over subsidies should be the way forward. Next, let's talk about international initiatives, right? So globally, 1 in 11 in hunger. So India, so basically, in the world, 1 in 11 people are hungry, according to the UN in 2025. SDG 2 is something that I think you should remember and put in an answer when asked about hunger. That's an important point, which is to end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. We have the World Food Program, the FAO, that would be the, I think, the food and agriculture organization. Okay. And what is IFAD? International Fund for Agricultural Development. And then we have the Food Security Alliance. Now the way forward, right? What are the different ways that are forward? That's number one is that the way forward is basically whatever recommendations you can think of, right? So first would be the Niti Aayog strategy recommends local accountability, mm, which would mean the involvement of Panchayati Raj institutions and decentralization of the TPDS. Currently, how the TPDS works is that the food grains are bought through middlemen uh, from the farmers to the middleman and to the by the state, and is held by the state in godowns, which causes a lot of waste. Instead, if it is decentralized and local accountability is taken into account using PRI, that would definitely increase the reduce the wastage and increase nutrition of the people. Next, we have agricultural investment greater than subsidies. Spoken about this. Way forward would be to reduce the climate change impact on hunger, right? We need to think of a long term strategy and awareness and bureaucratic consideration. Um, I think you can include some of the points that have been earlier put in here, right? The government strategies. Yeah, this is